The greatest of all time, the story of Michael Jordan. It was a cold October afternoon in 1978, and the locker room at Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina, was buzzing with noise. A white sheet of paper had been taped to the wooden notice board, and boys were crowding around it, shouting and laughing, checking to see if their names were on the varsity basketball team roster. 15-year-old Michael Jordan pushed his way through the crowd. He was only 5 feet 11 inches tall, skinny as a broomstick, with big ears and a gap between his teeth. But he loved basketball more than he loved breathing. He ate, slept, and dreamed of the game. He was sure his name would be there. He scanned the list once, twice, 3 times. It wasn't there. Coach Fred Smith had cut him. Said he was too short, too slow, not good enough to play at the senior level. The noise of the room faded away. Michael felt his face burn hot with shame. He grabbed his scuffed basketball under his arm, walked out of the gym before anyone could see him cry, and ran all the way home. He locked himself in his bedroom, threw his ball in the corner, and buried his face in his pillow. For the first time in his life, he felt small, useless, like he would never be good enough at anything. His mother, Dolores, knocked softly on the door and came in. She didn't tell him it was okay or that he was still great. She sat on the edge of his bed and said, "What are you going to do about it? Are you going to quit? Or are you going to work so hard they never dare leave you out again?" Michael wiped his eyes. That night he took that list of names, the one that didn't have his on it, and he taped it inside his locker. It stayed there for years, a reminder every time he opened the door. They counted you out. Don't count yourself out. For the next year, he didn't just practice. He lived basketball. He got up at 6 o'clock every morning, before the sun even came up, and shot hundreds of jump shots before school started. When classes finished, he was the first one in the gym and the last one to leave. He practiced free throws until his hands ached so bad he could barely hold a fork. He ran stairs until his legs felt like jelly. He even slept with extra weights on his ankles, desperate to grow taller and jump higher. By the end of the year, he had grown 4 inches. But more than that, he had become unstoppable. He made the team the next year, and by the time he graduated, he was one of the best players in the state. But the feeling never went away, the hunger to prove everyone wrong. When he went to the University of North Carolina, he was just a freshman, a little guy no one knew much about. In the 1982 national championship game, with 17 seconds left on the clock, his team was down by 1 point. The coach called the play for Michael. Everyone was shocked. A freshman? Taking the most important shot of his life? He took it. Swish, nothing but net. UNC won the championship, but even then people said he was just a lucky scorer, that he couldn't pass, that he couldn't defend, that he would never be a real star. Then came 1984, the NBA draft. The Portland Trail Blazers had the second pick. Everyone knew they needed a center, so they chose Sam Bowie, a tall, big man, instead of Michael Jordan. He went 3rd overall to the Chicago Bulls. Reporters wrote, "Jordan is too small. He's too flashy. He won't win championships in the big leagues." Michael didn't say a word. He just worked harder. His early years in the NBA were tough. He scored points by the bucket load, but his team kept losing. Year after year, they ran into the Detroit Pistons, the team they called the Bad Boys. They were rough, tough, and they had one rule: hurt Michael Jordan. They fouled him hard, knocked him to the ground, elbowed him, did everything they could to break him. They called it the Jordan rules. 3 years in a row, the Pistons beat the Bulls in the playoffs. 3 years in a row, Michael walked off the court defeated. While the other team celebrated, people started saying the same thing they had said in high school. Great player, but he'll never be a winner. He's too selfish. He can't lead a team. Michael could have quit. He could have stayed just a scoring star, rich and famous without the pressure of winning. But that wasn't who he was. He got stronger. He lifted weights until his body was hard as rock. He worked on his defense. He learned to pass to make his teammates better. He studied the Pistons, learned every move they made, every trick they had. He turned every loss, every insult, every fall into fuel. In 1991, they met the Pistons again in the conference finals. This time it was different. Michael and his team were faster, stronger, tougher. They swept Detroit 4-0. As they walked off the court, the Pistons didn't even shake their hands, but Michael didn't care. He had done it. He had beaten the team that broke him so many times. Then they went to the finals and beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Michael Jordan was an NBA champion. He cried when he held the trophy. He thought of that little boy who got cut from the team, who cried in his bedroom. He thought of all the early mornings, all the sore hands, all the losses. It was worth it. He won 3 championships in a row. He was the most famous man on the planet. Everyone called him the greatest ever. Then, in 1993, tragedy hit. His father, James Jordan, the man who had taught him to play ball, who had always believed in him, was killed in a robbery. Michael was broken. He had won everything there was to win. What was the point anymore? He announced he was retiring from basketball. "I have nothing left to prove," he said. He went to play baseball, just like his dad had always wanted him to. But it wasn't the same. The fire was still there, burning in his chest. He missed the game. He missed the fight. In 1995, he sent a simple fax to the press. It said just 2 words, "I'm back." Everyone laughed. Said he was too old. Said he was rusty, past his prime. Said he would never be great again. Michael heard them, and he worked harder than ever before. He led the Chicago Bulls to another 3 championships in a row. 6 total. 6 times he went to the finals and 6 times he won. Never lost once. He won MVP awards, scoring titles, broke records that people thought would never be broken. But when people asked him what made him the greatest, he never talked about the wins. He talked about the losses. He said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." That is the secret of Michael Jordan. It wasn't that he never lost. It wasn't that he never got cut or never got knocked down. It was that every time it happened, he didn't stay down. He used it. He turned pain into power, rejection into motivation, and every "you can't" into "watch me." He didn't have the perfect start. He wasn't the tallest or the strongest or the most naturally gifted at first, but he wanted it more than anyone else. He was willing to work when everyone else was sleeping. He was willing to get up when everyone else gave up. Today, his name isn't just a name. It's a word that means greatness. It means never quitting. It means turning your biggest hurts into your biggest power. The little boy who got cut from the team became the greatest basketball player of all time. And if he could do that, you can do anything.